A Rainy Day in New York. Out in cinemas now, the new film by Woody Allen, starring Timothy Chalamet, Elle Fanning, Jude Law, Liev Schreiber, and Selena Gomez. The central characters are a couple, university students named Gatsby and Ashley, played respectively by Timothy Chalamet and Elle Fanning. They both come from rather wealthy families. Gatsby is clearly a bright, intelligent fellow who reads a lot, knows a lot, perhaps is a bit arrogant and stuck up, although he is more infatuated in the atmosphere of old New York dive bars with piano players and their blues, cigarettes, and alcohol, and gambling. He's apparently a successful poker player. Apart from that, he's not really interested in formal education and he doesn't really have a clear direction in life. Ashley is much more naive and whimsical and even a little bit daft. She wants to be a journalist and she loves cinema, although it's more that she says she does than that she really understands and cherishes this branch of the arts, as becomes painfully obvious and clear when she engages in conversations about it. As a journalist for a student paper, she gets a chance to go to New York and interview a famous movie director. The pair decide to go together and spend the weekend in the Big Apple. Since Ashley is only supposed to spend 1 hour on interviewing the director, Gatsby make all these other plans with her. He wants to show her an art exhibition, his favorite hotel bar, Central Park, etc. However, the clearly depressed director offers Ashley an invitation to a private screening of his new film, so she sort of drops the previous plans and goes along on this journey, which further goes wilder and wilder, and she meets the screenwriter for the film, a famous actor, and then just gets swept up in this whole new environment that she is so infatuated with. Now, Gatsby is upset with this, and he goes on his own string of weird New York adventures as well. He meets a former friend of his, he accidentally plays a bit part in a student film, and visits his brother, and then he even goes to a poker game. So it's very much a typical Woody Allen film, with intellectual and pseudo-intellectual characters discussing the arts and their passions and their dreams in a slightly dreamy set of locations, in this case places around New York. The main topic of the film, I think, is the confrontation of the stuff that we romanticize, that we idealize in our minds, with the real thing. Ashley meets all these people from cinema circles who have none of her youthful enthusiasm and instead are washed up, disillusioned, and even unhappy. And Gatsby similarly gets to experience all the things that he likes to talk about, that he puts on a pedestal, and eventually begins to realize slowly that dive bars and life in the underbelly of a big city is maybe over romanticized by him, that the grass is maybe greener on the other side. So I think the movie walks a very thin line between criticizing these infatuations and pseudo intellectualism, but also kind of celebrating them and falling into the tropes that it tries to make fun of. And it does at times cross this line back and forth, and I thought it's not exactly flawless in saying what it wants to say. However, I have to say I enjoyed it to a surprising extent. Maybe it's the lack of expectations, maybe it's that I was in the right mood when seeing it. When I reviewed the other film that came out last weekend, The Dead Don't Die, I mentioned how you need to be in the right state of mind to enjoy it. And I think to a degree it's also true about A Rainy Day. While watching it, I thought to myself that there will be people who will hate this movie and criticize it, and they'll have good reasons to do so. And on another day, I might have been one of those people. But as it stands, the film just worked for me. The unhurried, whimsical, conversational style of Woody Allen's classic films, coupled with the backdrop of New York in the rain, just made for an enjoyable experience. The large part of that is the performances. Pretty much every one of the main characters is excellent. In particular, Elle Fanning does a terrific job of playing this slightly dumb, slightly naive young girl drunk on her new experiences. I was also surprised to find Selena Gomez extremely charming. Weirdly enough, I think I was the least impressed with Timothy Chalamet, who is considered to be one of the top actors of his new generation. Not because he's bad in this film per se, but the role is just so similar to his previous ones, to the things that he got us used to, that I think he could play it in his sleep. he does everything he has to do right, but he doesn't have all that much to do, to be honest. There's nothing new from him. So, is the perfect film? Absolutely not. It's flawed, it's a bit self indulgent and sometimes on the nose, and I wasn't a big fan of the ending. The message isn't that powerful or even that pronounced. But as a sort of rainy day movie, it works. It's not breaking any new ground or trying so hard to be a masterpiece of cinema. It is just this perfectly enjoyable, delightful little film.